Good afternoon. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications. That's local to North Alabama. You can also find us on syndicated television. That's Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, from 1 to 3 p.m. Definitely appreciate that. Try to come up with some really good subjects for you. And one of those that I've received a lot of emails on, by the way, Donna at donnasedge.com, has been shopping local. And I really love that, especially when it pertains to the farmer's market or buying your own beef. And I just wanted to show you where, this is where we buy all of our beef. It's locally owned, grown beef and more, Lone Tree Ranch, and you can find them at 256-523-6462. Now, wherever you are watching us right now, just wanted to tell you can buy local beef anywhere. It's always going to be so much better than anything you would ever buy in the grocery store. Plus, you know it has no hormones in it if you know the farmer, which we know this farmer. And so just always think about buying local. It's just going to be so much better for you. And I'm going to tell you, the taste is magnificent. And we always buy like half cow at a time and put it in the freezer. And I'll have to tell you, it's just the two of us, so it takes us a long time to eat it. Of course, we cook out a lot. We also have friends over. And always good meat, something well worth. The price per pound is so much lower than you'll find at the grocery store. And again, it has a much better taste. How many times have you done this? How many times have you bought ground beef from a grocery store and you have it in the freezer only 2 months? You've done everything you possibly can to make sure it's preserved the right way. And then 2 or 3 months go down the road and it has this funky smell to it. Yeah. Buy local. I promise you, I have food in my freezer from this beef right here that we have bought from Lone Tree Ranch. Then we're still eating it, and it still has a fantastic taste to it. Okay, let's go ahead and get started and talk about why you should buy at a local farmer's market. Why should you buy your beef locally? It's growing movement across North America. Folks are getting smart to this. Locally grown food has countless benefits to offer. Grow your own food. That's a great way too. But more and more families are making the choice to buy food from local food producers, even if it's just a portion of their weekly grocery supply. Once you start buying local, you don't want to buy from the grocery store anymore. Go to your own store. Have your own garden as well if you can't buy from a farmer. There are many benefits to buying locally grown food, and each person makes their choice for different reasons. I want you to go to this website. You'll get all kinds of fantastic information by going to arrowquip.com. That's ARROWQUIP.com. You get all kinds of great ideas on why you should buy local, and also I think there's some recipes on there as well. You'll find you're using less salt when you do this also. Okay, now each person makes their own choice for different reasons. Okay, mine's to save money and not have to wonder about what is in that meat or on my vegetables, and I don't have to worry about it because, see, I'm using my own fertilizer. I even manufacture my own, Phil and I do, from grass cuttings. You'll see a show on that coming up pretty soon. Save you hundreds of dollars for owning your own making your own. Okay, so locally grown food creates important economic opportunities. It provides health benefits. We've talked about that a lot. And also to reduce the environmental impact. It also helps to bring the community together, gives people the opportunity to absolutely make a difference. Now, additionally, many people feel local food tastes better. I totally agree with that, and it lasts longer. Wow, I gave up on, because I love salads. So I gave up on buying salads, lettuce at the grocery store because I would buy it. If you didn't hurry up and use what you bought that particular day, it starts getting this slimy. I mean, how many times have you done that? You buy lettuce, you pay $5 for it, and if you don't hurry up and use it up that night, at least the next day, it gets this weird look to it, and it feels slimy. Ugh, can't take that. Do your own or buy from a local farmer's market. They also find peace of mind knowing exactly where that came from and how it was grown. For others, supporting community economics and building relationships is important. So for whatever reason that is, buying local food is an important movement to support within your community, especially when it's getting even more and more popular. And I mean, take a look at this. We're going to talk about the top benefits of doing that. Okay. So, I want to ask you another question. So, a lot of folks say, what exactly is locally grown? I mean, what does that mean? So, locally grown food is a broad term that describes food that was grown within a geographical region that could be considered local to your particular area. And I would say, at least within your county. Going a couple of counties over would be fine too, depending on where you live. If you live in a big city, the more local to your little country atmosphere, the better that food is going to taste. So, locally grown food is a broad term that does describe food that was grown within a geographical region. Could be considered local to your particular area, whether it's within your county, your city, your neighborhood, or even, guess what? Even in your own backyard. Locally grown food can take many forms. Now, when buying locally, you may choose to buy food that was grown as locally as possible. My backyard is very local, so I really love that idea. Locally grown food can be found in your regular grocery store at farmers markets, where I suggest you go, within community supported agriculture programs, even on certain websites. You can go to some websites, and groups on social media platforms. Some ranchers even offer direct farm to table purchasing from their own websites. So, what kinds of food can you buy locally? So, locally grown food can, guess what? They can be fruits, they can be vegetables, dairy, and eggs, locally raised meat. I don't know, there's just nothing better than these particular food items. I mean, think about the fruits. You get your apples and you get your whatever foods, your peaches, your plums, whatever, and then your vegetables. Think about this. You know they come from your local dirt. Does that make sense? Dairy products and eggs, so a lot of people make their own cheese. I think that is awesome. And locally raised meats. And again, we talked about that from locally grown beef and more at Lone Tree Ranch. Again, that telephone number, I highly suggest you go on ahead and give them a call. They'll sell it to you either whole or half, or you can go quarter. Go in with a friend to buy a quarter part. 256-523-6462. Okay, so let's talk about this. Locally food can be fruits and vegetables. We talked about that, but most often the food you purchase will be food that's in season, and that's another thing, seasonal fruits and vegetables. So how many times have you bought, say, tomatoes that are out of season? It's not like an in-season tomato. It's just not, because here's what happens. They grow that tomato possibly in a greenhouse. Greenhouses are fine, but it's not in that awesome summertime that we're all used to, where cut that tomato and there's all that really nice juiciness on the inside of it. Makes great salsa. Make your own stews. It's just different because it's not stringy. It's not like you just cut a piece of cardboard. To me, it's not. That's one reason I look so forward to the summertime, because I want my local tomatoes that are grown right here in my backyard or in my neighbor's yard. So, I mean, that's what it's all about. It's just a huge taste. It's a huge difference. Also, you can also find the restaurants. Usually the local mom and pop restaurants are going to have locally grown food, okay? And you'll be able to tell the difference between their, say, beef stew, has tomatoes in it, and maybe a chain beef stew. There's always a huge difference, because again, most of your local moms and pops are going to buy local food because they can. So other local food producers can grow certain types of foods years around using greenhouses or orchards. This also depends on your local climate and your community. We took a beating, this summer, or this winter. We had a very unusual cold snap that happened right at Christmas Eve. And then also we had a late frost that just wiped out a lot of our fruit crop. So I'm waiting till next year. It's worth the wait to me. Plus, we had a really good bountiful year last year, and I still have a lot of peaches in the freezer and that kind of stuff. Now, other popular foods to purchase locally include your dairy products. It'd be your milk and cheese from cows or goats. By the way, goat's milk is probably better for you than cow's milk, although I like cow's milk too. Local, organic, and farm fresh eggs are another popular food that families pick up on the weekend at the weekend farmers market. Even specialty food items like honey, yeah, we're big keepers, nut butters, or canned foods can often be purchased from local producers. I'm trying something a little different this year. In the garden, I'm actually raising peanuts. So I'm going to raise peanuts and have my own peanut butter. We're going to see how that turns out. Now, as concerns grow over the sustainability of meat production, and you don't know what they're putting in the meat, and the growing demand for ethically sourced meat, many families are choosing to purchase their meats from local producers. Smart thing. Whether that's chicken, pork, beef, or lamb. Just wanted to let you know that locally raised meat is often hormone and preservative free, which is appealing to many health conscious individuals. Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing all of the things that are happening to our meats right now. Chicken, they're putting hormones in chicken, and girls are developing at rates that are just, I'll put it to you this way, they look like they're 20 years old when they're 14. I mean, if you get my drift there. So hormones are being used in your food. I can't see that as being a good thing. We're going to go into a commercial break in just a second, but I wanted to mention this to you. It's the health benefits. I'm about to get into this. So it's the health benefits of locally grown food. So when we look at the countless benefits now of buying locally grown food, it's easy to see why individuals and families are making it a staple part of their diet. And I'm so proud you are doing that. I mean, think about the gardens our grandparents had. I know my grandmother would always just put up several jars, like jars of food, beans and all those, and those were the best tasting beans, absolutely. But now she knew how to can, and that's key as well. Before we go into a break, call wherever you're living at, okay, because I know people are listening to us all over the country. So wherever you are listening, there is a county extension service, and they are there to benefit you. One thing they're going to teach you is how to can your products. Let's say you go to the farmer's market and you just buy a whole bunch of beans and you don't know what to do with them. Get in contact with your local extension service. They'll tell you what to do about those too, so that it's good and healthy, and you'll know exactly how to preserve those items. Let's go to a commercial break. We're going to be right back shortly with those benefits. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community. Whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need, toys at Christmas, or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. Let Rhonda at Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC take the burden off you for all your tax needs. I know because Rhonda has been taking care of my business since 2013. I feel Rhonda works for me because she knows the direct questions to ask to better benefit my unique business in order for me to get back the biggest refund possible. Rhonda is an ongoing student, and she knows tax laws are in a constant change every year. Call 256-281-9903 for an appointment to take the dread out of getting your taxes done. Rhonda is located at 11968 U.S. Highway 431 in Boaz. Again, that number is 256-281-9903. And let Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC champion your personal and business taxes. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018. Okay, the benefits, and these are huge. Go to this website if you, just in case you're driving down the road and maybe you don't have time to jot down any notes right now. This is where I found the info. arrowquip.com. That's ARROWQUIP.com. So, number one, often it's pesticide free. I know everything we do here on this farm, no pesticides. Zip. Zero. I really have this belief that using pesticides causes all kinds of health problems and health issues for folks. My energy level is better than it's ever been because I'm eating food. I know where it came from. I'm not using any kind of pesticides. And you need to go back and look, okay, because you can find us on social media as well, and you can also find us on youtube.com. But I want you to check out the video I did with making your own grass tea, and this grass tea is good to use on your plants. No preservatives, no nothing, because even our grass, we don't use an herbicide on it. Okay, and the grass looks better too, I think. We're not seeing all that blotchiness, that happens sometimes in lawns. So we cut up the grass, field dust, cuts the grass. I go ahead and put about a bucket about halfway full, fill it full of water. Let it seep for about 3 weeks. The longer you let it seep, the better it is. Then what you'll do is put it in an old sheet, an old piece of cloth, go to the thrift store and buy one. And then all that water needs to come out of that luscious stuff, that's our fertilizer. And it comes out of that, and I'm just going to tell you, your plants will perk up like nobody's business. You'll also find your tomatoes are going to be maturing a little bit better. You won't have to wait so long on a green tomato. You need to do this about every couple of months, okay? All right, now, Pesticide free, that's huge. Foods produced by large-scale agricultural operations are often mass sprayed with pesticides. I don't want that in my family's body. Okay, number two is preservative free. So local grown food doesn't require long trips to be transported across the country until they reach their final destination. That's important too. So for this reason, food doesn't need to have any preservatives or chemicals added in order to keep it fresh during the transit. So this is what they have to do. We're using tomatoes as an example. So let's say your tomatoes come from California. California tomatoes. Okay, and they're good if you're in California. They're really good, okay, because you're buying something made from that local land. It hasn't been on a truck, whatever. You're planting your own tomatoes, what have you. Okay, so they'll have to pick those tomatoes now while they're still green. Tomatoes are best when they are plucked, when they're plucked off of that tree when they're red, or at least they start showing a blushing color. Okay, so they went ahead and picked those. There's a gas they use to go in that to preserve it, and so that it slows down that process, and so that it is red. Okay, you know what happens? That's why when you cut into a tomato that comes from a grocery store, most often it's going to taste like cardboard. It's not going to be that juicy tomato that you have when you get your own vine ripe, or you go to our local farmers markets. So again, you know, the grocery store is good for some things, but not for your local produce, unless it's a small chain and that's what they buy is from the local farmer. Okay, it offers improved nutrition. Eating locally grown food can help deliver high nutrient content. This is for several reasons, including it includes the lack of chemicals, we know that, and greater freshness. Local food is also a better way to ensure you eat seasonally, which is good. Okay, when you eat food that's grown within its natural season, the flavors are much fuller, and it just plain old tastes better. That's why we like to put up vegetable soup. That's why we preserve that and we can it and that kind of thing, because it's just a wonderful taste of the summertime in the dead of winter. Ugh, I'm not into winter, can you tell? Okay, also it supports diet-related conditions, so let's talk about that for a few minutes. For people with food sensitiveness to preservatives, some of us are, hormones, or other food chemicals, locally grown food is a great option. Locally grown food can also help support any digestion issues that people with food allergies may experience with other types of food. Now, also it encourages eating a well-balanced diet. Not only does your food just plain old taste better, when you choose to buy locally grown food, you can incorporate healthier proteins, fruits, vegetables, and whole grains to your diet, as opposed to choosing processed and packaged foods that don't provide a balanced diet. Let me tell you something you can do. Get a fig tree. Grow figs. Figs are great. You can freeze them. You can dry them. I dehydrate mine. I put some in the freezer for breakfast. I'm out of figs now. I made them all up. So we're going to have a good crop of figs this year. Figs are your answer to any digestive problems you may have. Figs are great for your skin care. Because remember this, remember what your grandmother told you a long time ago? Whatever you eat is what your face is going to look like. It really does. Eat your home processed foods. Again, either raise it yourself or go to the farmer's market. Figs are fantastic. They're such a health food. It's not a popular food item to brag about, but it is. It's a good food item to brag about. Okay, you're not eating anything processed and prepackaged. You know what they have to do to prepackaged food? They got to put a ton of salt in it. You're getting a lot less salt when you do it yourself. When I've had canned beans, I always rinse them off, you know, because I want less salt. If you'll look on the can under the ingredients, if salt is one of the high ingredients, if it's one of the first things you see on that list, put the can down. Or if you must buy it, rinse it very well. Okay, now it also improves food safety. Food safety is another growing concern, especially for families with young kids and with seniors. Food safety refers to a food's level of contamination risk. With important foods, it can pass through several different hands before it reaches your kitchen. That's another reason I want my own food that I grow or I go to a farmer's market. This increases the chance of contamination. I've often thought about this. So think about when COVID was happening, okay? And food was being processed at manufacturing companies or whatever. Somebody who handled that food could have had COVID and you didn't know it. None of us knew it. Okay, that's another reason. Now, the more steps between you and your food supply, the greater the risk of food contamination. Buying directly from local producers reduces that risk of eating unsafe foods. Okay, I want you to look at something else right here. Okay, so when local farms are established, eating local also protects the farmland. Now, what does that mean exactly? Let's dig a little bit farther. We got a little time. So purchasing more local food provides environmental benefits as well. It preserves small food farmland. So when local farms are established, eating local protects the farmland. Without small-scale farms like we have here, we're on 38 acres, that's considered a small-scale farm. Some of my friends in Charlotte would argue with me about that. They think if they got an acre, they got a lot of land. 38 acres is still considered a small farm. Now, the land might otherwise be developed for industrial or commercial use. Additionally, farmland attracts other types of biodiversity and gives animals, insects, and birds a place to live and thrive. Your insects, like your bees, bees are such an important resource to our food supply. That's why we are beekeepers. It reduces food mites and food miles. When we compare local farm-grown food to imported food, the differences can be numerous. Imported food is shipped sometimes hundreds or thousands of miles to arrive at the supermarket. So food miles is a term that is used to describe the distance that food has traveled. Now, from the place it was produced to the place where it was sold to the consumer, the more food miles, mites is what my other friend says, accumulated during food transportation, the more fossil fuels that are consumed. This transportation causes greater carbon emissions. Everybody talks about that. Reducing food miles, mites, helps alleviate our dependence on fossil fuels, reduces air pollution, and cuts back on the greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, another reason is it promotes accountability. When food is raised and grown locally, the consumer better understands how and where the food is being produced. This awareness encourages local farmers to use sustainable agriculture practices and to be more accountable to safe ecological practices, which may include not using pesticides or implementing systems that are less resource intensive than commercial agriculture. You need to always ask your farmer at the local farmer market. It could be somebody who just flies in that's not even a farmer who just buys food from somewhere and sells it. We don't have that problem here, but that could be a possibility. I would always ask, even your local guy, do you use pesticides? It's an important question. Many local farm producers will actively produce an organic certification that can happen to further improve the nutritional value of their food and reduce their environmental impact. Now, it also preserves genetic diversity. We've talked about that. Many types of farm produce use modern commercial technologies from certain genetic strands, and some people are doing that in their meats. That's why I'm saying buy locally, and you need to check out my friends right here who use no genetics in their meats whatsoever. No preservatives, nothing like that in the food. Everything is locally grain-fed from their farm. Okay. Thank you so much for watching The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, and Abundance Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Again, thank you so much for watching. Definitely appreciate it.